Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, whatever time you might be watching this at. But everyone has enjoyed conference week so far. I would just wanted to make a video going over Anki for everyone, reviewing kind of what I do, settings I have, cards I use, and then how I use Anki, which you certainly don't have to follow everything that I review today to a T. I just have, these are my recommendations for if you want to study how like I do, or I have some recommendations for at least how to incorporate Anki, and how to use other resources that other students make, like on the Discord. And so I'll start with where I got my information. So Zach Kiley is a YouTuber, yeah, like myself. He's a much more successful YouTuber. He's a medical student that goes, I can't remember which college in Philadelphia, but he has a ton of videos on studying in general and getting through medical school. And so I highly recommend watching some of his videos if you have time this weekend, especially before Form 2 starts. But if you ever want to know the background about the settings I use in Anki, and kind of how I incorporate Anki and where I kind of got the anatomy deck and how I'm using that and how I want to transition out of that after year one, I recommend coming to his page and watching some of his videos. So these are just his Anki ones. He also has many other videos. So yeah, go check him out if you want to learn more. And so that's Zach Kiley. These next two, these are the Reddit pages for where I found version 11 of the Anki deck that is free compared to version 12, which costs money. And so you'll come to this page, scroll down here, and the link is right here. And so I'll incorporate this link as well as this link, which is for the Anatomy Bluelink deck. I'll post those links in the bio below the video on YouTube for you. So that way you can just come straight here. And if you already have these decks, don't download them again. You're just going to get double the cards and it's a whole mess. But that's there if you don't have either of those decks. And then I know a lot of students make their own cards on Discord, or if you make your own cards, that's great. That can also be considered another pass on material. And it's also super helpful, and those don't tend to interfere with those other decks. I just wanted to let some of you know that if you notice, so I have multiple decks within my one deck that I study, if that makes sense. So if I go to browse, I can show you that I have Anki, my Anki deck in here. And I have the Anki deck, the Bluelink Anatomy deck, and then somewhere else, maybe I made it within Anki. I made like a sub deck within Anki for my OMM cards that I make. And so instead of having a bunch of different decks, they'll be listed here in rows. What you can do is you highlight the name and you drag it. You can see how I can drag it across. If you drag that up and put it over the one deck that you want to have, you can drag and drop, combines the decks. And then what you'll notice is when you come in here, the decks, it'll appear like Bluelink Anatomy deck from Michigan is now within my Anki deck, or if you do that with anything else. And then when you come down to tags, you'll see that the tags for that deck you added into Anki will be somewhere within the tags. So Bluelink comes down here below all of Anki's. So that's one way to combine your decks, and I just like to do that because then I have one deck to study every day versus having to get through 5 or 6. So for me, it kind of seems more concise and an easier challenge to tackle versus doing multiple decks. And then that leads me into the settings I use for Anki. I don't use the basic default settings. I find those to be pretty frustrating because you get the same cards over and over and over again, and you don't seem to get them out of your rotation. So I'm not going to go into too much depth on explaining these settings to keep this video short. I will just highlight that. So the 4 buttons in for rating a card, you have, again, hard, good, easy. And so my settings are easy. I will see it if this is the first time I've ever reviewed the card, because the algorithm changes with my settings to, if you do well with the card and you continuously hit good, 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 it'll push it out to days, weeks, months. Unfortunately, I did my cards, otherwise I'd like to show you. So 4 is easy. On the default settings, if you see a card for the first time, I believe it pushes it out 3 days. If it's good, you'll see it again in a day. Hard, 12 hours, again, 15 minutes. So this allows you to do your cards in a given day and say 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours if you have a lot of cards. Get through that, and then you don't have to do it again because the default settings will make you do them again. So these are the settings I use. New cards a day. Oh, I should be 100. Don't do 1,000 there. Do 100. I had that set because I had a couple big study days leading up to finals. Maximum reviews per day, English. Just make that a big number. And then these are the settings that I kind of changed that I recommend having because it makes reviewing like rewarding and not a super big chore. So feel free to pause. And then these are the other settings I have, and I apologize for it. Why is that going away? Anyways, I didn't change any of the settings down here. There we go. So these should all be the same. If not, I don't really know why I would have changed them. Recommend watching Zach Kiley's videos. And then another thing you'll notice that I have this huge block here. I have a different background. I like add-ons. So these are kind of like mods for games, if you're familiar with adding mods to games. So these are the ones I use. The ones I guess use more often is I don't have a controller, but I use Anki Simulator, custom background. That's how I have this nice background. Image occlusion is good for if you want to make your own cards. Review heat map, that's this little guy right here that just, depending on the color, that's reflects how many cards I did that day. Black is I skipped today, so started off rocky, but been pretty good. That was after finals, and I kind of just said nope. The king of button add-ons, that just makes you can change I think the colors and just kind of visual characteristics of your buttons when on the screen here when you press them. And then true retention, this is a concept in an add-on that Zach Kiley goes over, I believe. I'm pretty sure at least. And it helps. That program tracks how well you are learning the cards if you grade yourself harshly and are like very honest with how well you performed on the card. So like I had 94 cards today. I didn't hit good or easy on all of them. I hit hard on a handful. And that was stuff I was supposed to know. But what that allows you to do is go to stats here. This is a stats window that all of you should have, but I have an add-on that is your true retention add-on, I believe. And I shift click it, and it looks a little different. So there's no data there. Let's do this. And this shows you myself how well I'm studying, depending on, like this gives you statistics on how well you're reviewing it. And so it's just kind of a way to track it and give yourself feedback on how well you're performing. And I know there is another window. Can't remember how to get to it off the top of my head because it's been a long time since I've seen it. And I think it's that true retention add-on actually, where you get to see a statistic, and Zach Kiley reviews this, that you are looking for like a 90-something% true retention by the time you were reviewing cards in the spring. And so that 90% means that you retained 90% of the cards that you have been reviewing in this program, and you are doing very well as a student. And even if you're not there, like if you have a true retention of, I think like 65-70% or better, you are doing well. And again, it's not perfect. It's kind of this is a subjective grading system. You just got to be honest with it, and that'll give you the most accurate results for you. But that's a way I like to track my cards and study, as well as grades and tests and whatnot. So those are add-ons. And then if you want more, because there are many more than this, you just go to get add-ons. Oh, wait, sorry. No. You view add-on page. Wait. Thought it was this one. Oh, yeah, browse add-ons. So waking up. And so you can come here and if you see the scroll bar, thousands, hundreds, tons and tons of Anki add-ons. So you click on them, like this is the heat map one. It shows you what it is, updates to it, what it does. And then keep scrolling down, comments. And then what you want to do is copy this code here, come back to Anki, put that code in here. So code will go here, and then you just hit OK. And then you have to restart Anki, and it's good to go. So that is Anki for you. And I just wanted to review kind of how I use Anki. So I'm a big Anki person, but I wouldn't say it's my most, it's kind of half of my effective setting habit. So I use it as a warm up in the morning. So I wake up. First thing I do is my Anki. So I try to get up before classes start and give myself at least an hour between classes and traveling to campus and after I have breakfast and kind of wake up and go through my morning routine. And I do Anki. And so that's my warm up, gets my brain going and helps me review and kind of get my mind to where we are at content wise, but then also helps get my brain remembering all of the old content before I just get mentally exhausted for the day. So I struggle with doing Anki in the evenings after a long day if I forget about it. So I'm a big morning Anki person. And so that's what I do. I do Anki in the morning. I go to classes. I take notes onto the PowerPoints, or I do PDFs of the PowerPoints, but take notes on those. And then I come home every night. And what I do is I study for a little bit, exercise, take a break, and then usually it's later, like 8 or 9 or hopefully not 10 most time. I go through and I activate cards. And so that's the whole purpose of this channel is I go through and I match learning objectives or important information from PowerPoint slides, presentations that professors gave to us. And so I'll go in here and I'll do the sifting. So I think this next one we have cardiology or neuro. So I'll probably be in here and I'll be doing like sifting through cards here and trying to figure out what to add. And I do this every night because what I like to have, so I like to have 100 new cards every day, unless I have less than 100, that's even better. And then I always have my learns or do's, which tomorrow I have 85, and then Sunday 114, Monday 95, and kind of follows about just under 100 for the next few weeks, or just the next week. And so I always have cards to do every day, but I want to start factoring in those new content we learn the next day, because that will allow me to have like a very manageable amount of cards to do it every day versus if you activate them all once a day, like on one day of a week. So say I don't activate any cards for the first week of Form 2 until that weekend after our first week of lectures. You are going to, I'll just show you here. You're going to have content. So this is next week. So say I'm saying if you don't activate it until like say Friday, you have all this content of new cards. And if you have my settings of 100 new cards, hit save. Oh, just want to make sure that's saved. Otherwise, I'll have a fun week. I just want to have 100 new cards every day as much as possible, because that's going to help limit this number from getting too large or persisting to be 100 all the way through. And then if you activate them late, you're not going to get through all those cards in time for finals, midterms, tests, unless you go to your settings like I did during finals and up this number to 1,000. And I wouldn't say it's fun doing 1,000 cards in a day. I've never done it. I've been close to 1,000, but it's not something I recommend. So that's why I update cards every night. And I know for some of you that watch this channel, that it might be a little difficult to update that nightly if you watch my videos and follow what I unlock, just because it might be late at night, and that's okay. If you're a day behind, that's okay. It's really, yeah, you just got to use Anki how you want. And that leads me to my next point is you don't have to do what I do. I use it as an addition, but certainly with Anki, I can't learn everything. I think it's great for learning details and very specific components, but it's hard to learn general pathways or big concepts. So I like learning all the details here, and then I have a big whiteboard behind me in my office at home that I go nuts drawing all kinds of learning objective pathways and whatnot on. So that is Anki for you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, email, phone, Discord. I'm not the best at reading comments on YouTube. I just kind of post the videos and walk away. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and I wish you all the best of luck with Farm 2.